They're calling it Jamaica's new Beverly Hills, a multi-billion-dollar luxury boom that's exploding across the green hills of Street Anne. It's a bold, glittering vision for a new Jamaica, pulling in massive global investment and promising a world-class lifestyle that for many was previously unimaginable. Everywhere you look, cranes scrape the sky and entire hillsides are being carved up and reshaped into opulent gated communities. But while the concrete pours and luxury villas rise from the red earth, a nagging question seems to whisper through the remaining palm trees. What is the true cost of this new paradise, and who in the end is actually going to pay for it? This isn't just a story about real estate. It's a story about the soul of modern Jamaica, and the answer is going to define the island for generations to come. To get what's happening in Street Anne, you have to understand this is way more than just a few new apartment buildings. This is a complete paradigm shift. The parish, famous for its lush beauty, quiet fishing villages, and icons like Dunn's River Falls, is being aggressively rebranded as the island's #1 luxury destination. That nickname, New Beverly Hills, isn't official. It's viral shorthand for the sheer scale and ambition of what's going on. This whole transformation is fueled by a tidal wave of money, both local and international, aimed at a demographic that's hungry for security, luxury, and a piece of the Jamaican dream, but with all the comforts of a first-world suburb. Let's break down the crown jewels of this development boom. First, you've got the absolute behemoth, the project that's redefining scale in the region. The massive development in Mammy Bay by the China Harbor Engineering Company, or CATC. This isn't just a housing complex, it's basically a new town. The government granted CATC 1,200 acres of land as part of the deal for building the highway. On that land, they are building a sprawling site with 69 deluxe 3-bedroom units and nearly 201 and 2-bedroom apartments. The original script's estimate of 4,000 people seems high. A more realistic population for roughly 270 units would be in the high hundreds, but that's still a huge number of people to inject into one small area. Construction is already well underway. Then we have the projects that really lean into that Beverly Hills vibe. Perched in the hills over the Caribbean Sea is Milford Ridge, a development that just screams exclusivity. Marketing for its first phase, La Maison, shows plans for around 62 semi-detached townhouses, each a 3-bedroom, multi-story unit of nearly 2,000 square feet. These homes are advertised with opulent finishes, a private gym, a lavish pool complex, and, of course, a 24-hour guarded gate. With a reported starting price of around $500,000 and a completion date projected for early 2027, Milford Ridge is planting a flag for a new standard of Jamaican luxury. Just a stone's throw away is the Ocho Rios Country Club, another cornerstone of this boom. This gated community is slated to include 92 units, mixing spacious houses and townhouses. Based on listings and marketing, homes here are priced from around $450,000 to $650,000, targeting buyers who want it all. Ocean views, rooftop balconies, sports courts, and manicured lawns, all within a 2-minute drive from the beach. But it's not just about sprawling family homes. The boom is also for a new type of investor. Enter Soul Harbor, a project by the well-known Proven Royalty. Construction is planned to start by the end of 2025. Soul Harbor is a different beast, focusing on 144 studio units starting at $169,000 and 12 2-bedroom apartments starting at $370,000. This is a clear play for the investor looking for rental income, targeting the Arab market, the young professional, or the returning resident who wants a modern foothold back home. And these are just the headliners. You've also got other high-end developments like Palacio Rivera in Brennut Hill, adding even more luxury inventory to the market. So who's buying these places? It seems to be 3 main groups. First, the Jamaican diaspora. For decades, they sent money home, and now they see a secure way to invest in a lifestyle they're used to abroad. Second, you have wealthy locals, business leaders and professionals choosing to buy high-end property at home instead of in Miami or Toronto. And third, a growing number of international buyers who see Street Anne as the next Caribbean hotspot. The appeal is obvious. You get the beauty of Jamaica with the security and comfort of a Florida suburb. It's a powerful combination. Underneath all the glitter, though, some very unsettling questions are bubbling up. For every slick promo video of a panoramic ocean view, there's a growing chorus of concern from environmentalists, economists, and everyday Jamaicans. This is the part of the story that doesn't make it into the glossy brochures. The most immediate crisis is infrastructure. The roads, water pipes, and power lines in Street Anne were never designed for this kind of population explosion. The North-South Highway and the A1 coastal road are already packed. Now, add thousands of new residents from all these new developments, each with 1 or 2 cars. The result isn't just traffic, it's the threat of total gridlock, choking the very arteries the parish needs for tourism and commerce. Even scarier is the question of water. The National Water Commission, NWC, already struggles to provide consistent service, with lock-offs being a fact of life for many. How can that system possibly handle the demand from thousands of new multi-bathroom homes and swimming pools? There's a real fear that these powerful new developments will just divert water from older, less wealthy communities, leaving them high and dry. Will the water meant for a farmer in the hills now top up a private infinity pool? It's a potential flashpoint for social conflict. Then there's the environmental cost. Street Anne's entire identity is intrinsically tied to its natural beauty. The lush hillsides, dense forests, and pristine coastline are not just scenic attractions. They are the foundation of local culture, tourism, and community life. Yet, large-scale construction is, by its very nature, destructive. Across Street Anne, we are witnessing the clearing of forests, the leveling of hillsides, and the paving over of green spaces that once absorbed rainwater and supported biodiversity. This transformation is not subtle. It fundamentally alters the landscape. Hillsides that have stood for centuries are being carved up to make way for roads, luxury homes, and commercial developments, destabilizing the soil and increasing the risk of landslides during Jamaica's frequent tropical storms and heavy rains. Take, for example, the massive CHEC development in Miami Bay. Environmentalists have raised serious concerns due to its proximity to the Warren River and its location within the sensitive Rio Bueno watershed. These waterways are critical not only for local ecosystems, but also for the communities that rely on them for fishing, irrigation, and daily life. Environmental groups, such as the Jamaica Environment Trust, have repeatedly asked, what will happen to the wastewater generated by thousands of new residents? If it's not perfectly managed, it could seep into groundwater or flow directly into the sea, where it would damage coral reefs, the very natural barriers that protect the coastline from erosion and storm surges. The terrifying irony is undeniable. In the rush to sell paradise, the very elements that define Jamaica's paradise, the forests, rivers, and reefs, risk being permanently destroyed. Beyond the visible concrete and steel, there is a deeper social cost. This construction boom is accelerating the "to Jamaica's" narrative, highlighting a growing divide between wealth and everyday life. On one side of the walls and gates, there is the sanitized, secure world of luxury developments, sometimes referred to as the New Beverly Hills. On the other side lies the Jamaica where most people live, communities with rich traditions, vibrant culture, and daily challenges. These new developments are rarely integrated into the existing social fabric. Instead, they create fortified enclaves where residents have minimal interaction with the local culture, except through service relationships. Local shopkeepers, cleaners, and security staff become the main points of contact, but true cultural exchange is rare. In effect, these communities foster social isolation rather than cohesion, creating a stark contrast that was previously unimaginable in Street Anne. This divide directly fuels displacement and affordability challenges. As luxury developments drive up land and property values, local residents are increasingly priced out of neighborhoods where their families may have lived for generations. A teacher, a nurse, or a police officer who grew up in Ocho Rios might find it impossible to rent, let alone buy, a home in the town where they work. For many, this results in long commutes or relocation entirely. Furthermore, public access to beaches and rivers, a cherished part of Jamaican life, is increasingly threatened. As developers purchase prime coastal land and erect walls around private communities, there is a legitimate fear that the island's natural birthrights will be lost to the public, one gated community at a time. Generations of Jamaicans could find themselves barred from spaces that were once open and free, eroding a critical connection to their land and culture. Then there is the risk to investors themselves, especially members of the diaspora who are pouring life savings into these high-end developments. Jamaica's construction industry has a history of projects experiencing massive delays, substandard work, and in some cases, developers failing to deliver. While many new developers are reputable and professional, the sheer pace of this boom places enormous pressure on regulators to enforce standards and maintain oversight. Questions abound. Will your $500,000 dream home hold up under the island's climate? What happens if structural issues appear a year after you take possession? Even the most carefully planned investment can quickly turn into a nightmare of financial loss without vigilance. The rapid pace of construction often means corners are cut, inspections are rushed, and long-term maintenance is overlooked, issues that only surface after significant investment has already been made. So, where does all this leave us? It is tempting to frame the situation as a battle between good and evil, the greedy developer versus the pristine environment. But reality in Jamaica is far more nuanced. Writing off the construction boom entirely would ignore the genuine opportunities it brings. Jamaica needs investment. The construction sector generates thousands of jobs, from laborers, engineers, and architects to security personnel, cleaners, and property managers who will maintain these communities for years to come. Foreign currency from international buyers helps stabilize the Jamaican dollar and contributes to the broader economy. Moreover, for many, the ambition itself is inspiring. The idea of world-class communities, high-end resorts, and modern infrastructure symbolizes national progress. It shows that Jamaica is ready to compete on a global stage, not just as a tourist destination, but as a country capable of handling sophisticated development projects. Pride in these accomplishments can foster confidence and attract further investment, provided growth is managed responsibly. This conversation, therefore, is not about halting development. It is about demanding better, more responsible development that balances ambition with accountability. This is where the glittering dream of luxury resorts, high-end villas, and booming tourism meets the often unseen and sometimes terrifying cost of environmental degradation, cultural erosion, and social displacement. Jamaica, rich in natural beauty and cultural heritage, is at a critical crossroads. The decisions made today in Street Anne will not just shake the coastline or the local economy. They will serve as a blueprint for the nation's future, setting the precedent for how development should, or should not, interact with the environment and the people who call it home. The challenge is clear and urgent. Can the drive for growth and investment coexist with the absolute necessity of protecting Jamaica's environment, its culture, and its citizens? It is entirely possible to build luxury communities that are integrated rather than isolated, but achieving this requires careful, intentional planning. Strong enforcement of environmental laws must be non-negotiable, ensuring that delicate ecosystems are preserved rather than destroyed in the pursuit of profit. Policies must be put in place to prevent the displacement of local residents, allowing them to benefit from new economic opportunities rather than being pushed out of their own communities. Moreover, infrastructure cannot lag behind development. Roads, water systems, electricity, and public services must expand in tandem with new construction. Only by aligning these factors can growth truly serve all Jamaicans, rather than exclusively catering to those who can afford entry into these exclusive enclaves. The vision must be holistic, considering social, economic, and environmental sustainability as interdependent goals. The projects unfolding in Ocho Rios are more than mere construction sites. They are a test of Jamaica's vision for itself. Will the country become a patchwork of private enclaves, disconnected from the communities around them, or will it use global investment as a tool to create prosperity that is equitable and inclusive? These questions are not theoretical. They are rising from the hills in concrete, steel, and glass, visible proof of choices made and consequences yet to come. How the nation responds today will define Jamaica's environmental and social landscape for generations, shaping not only the skyline, but also the spirit of its communities. The transformation of Ocho Rios is a story of enormous ambition matched by equally enormous risk. It forces us to confront hard questions about the meaning of progress, the value of natural and cultural heritage, and the responsibilities of those who invest in the island. Ultimately, it poses the simple yet profound question: can Jamaica pursue a luxurious, globally competitive future without sacrificing the very soul of the nation? What do you think? Is this development boom a blessing or a curse for Ocho Rios and for Jamaica as a whole? I want to hear your thoughts. Share your opinions in the comments below, and let's engage in a conversation about the kind of future we want to build together.